Mike Dell's World, number 333 for November 6, 2019. And I am the aforementioned Mike. Welcome to the show. For those of you listening on the Napod Pomo feed that aren't familiar with me, I talk about whatever I talk about whenever I want to talk about it. That's the whole idea. But I am participating this year, so this is day 6. And today I want to talk about the subject I was going to talk to you yesterday before I was so rudely interrupted by a nostalgic thought. So we're going to talk about the TV repack. And what is the TV repack, you might ask? Well, let's let the FCC tell us about it.
Sometimes digital TV channels change. Some stations may stop broadcasting or change frequencies, while new stations on different channels may become available. If you receive digital TV over the air with an antenna, you should periodically rescan to update the channels you receive. Some boxes or receivers rescan by themselves, while others need you to start the rescanning process. Instructions for starting a rescan can usually be found by pressing the Setup or Menu buttons on your remote control. If you can't find the option to rescan that way, check the owner's manual or contact customer service for your TV or converter box manufacturer. You may find contact information in your instruction manual or on the internet. Once a rescan is complete, you will see all of the digital channels you are able to receive. For more information, go to www.fcc.gov/rescan. This is a public service announcement from the FCC.
Yeah, and the reason I played that is a couple things. First thing is I was listening to a podcast from Wondery, actually, which is one of the big networks of podcasts, and I heard in their commercial break, I heard a FCC commercial that said basically what this little announcement that I played was, except for they had a little catchy jingle and plan to rescan was what their little tagline was, and I just thought that was completely brilliant. The FCC, knowing that those that listen to podcasts are generally not going to have cable, or at least more likely to not have cable television service or satellite TV service, and would be the ones that are listening or watching TV over the air, if at all, and so that would reach the right audience. So good on you, FCC, for realizing that. Of course, the FCC does have their own podcast now called More Than 7 Deadly Words, or something like, or 7 Dirty Words, something like that, in reference to George Carlin's 7 Dirty Words routine way back in the day. But very cool. And those of you that have been following along at home, I cut the cable probably, 5-6 months ago? I don't know, this summer. And went to an antenna. So this is for the local Traverse City peeps. Please rescan your TV. If you weren't getting NBC and ABC, you might get it now. Or if it was coming in flaky, if you rescan, you might get it now. Around here, we're a little bit unique. There's no degrees of uniqueness. Anyway, we're unique around here in that most of the TV stations before the digital transition were dual TV stations, meaning they had 2 separate transmitters, separated by, I don't know, a couple 100 miles or 100 miles, whatever, because our DMA, or demographic market area, or whatever they call it for the FCC, is rather large because we're sparsely populated. So, most of our DMA is sparsely populated. So to cover the entire market, TV stations had to have 2 transmitters. So, for CBS, we had 9 and 10. And for our local NBC was 7 and 4. Our ABC was 29 and 8. Fox, they were Fox 33, and then they switched to Fox 32. But they only had 1 transmitter at the time. Now, with all the digital transition and mergers and whatever, most of these TV stations around here have multiple transmitter sites. Just thinking of the NBC affiliate, they have one, well, before this latest repack, they had one down in Harrietta, Michigan, which is south of here anyway. And They also had one in Kalkaska, Michigan. They had one in Sheboygan, Michigan, and they had one in Gettsville, Michigan, or Gettsville. I don't know. It's up in the UP. Anyway, that covered Sault Ste. Marie. And that was all their 4 digital stations. And of course, they simulcast with ABC. So all of those had NBC and ABC and one other sub channel. I forget what it is, rural TV or some little offshoot channel. And it was great, except for in the hole here in Traverse City, we couldn't really get them all that well. The transmitter that was out in Kalkaska, which is, good 30 miles away, and there was a big hill between us. Traverse City's kind of in a bowl here. But they did have their studio tower, but they didn't have a transmitter there, which pretty much covers downtown Traverse City. Well, during this whole repack thing, they went down in Harrietta, they were on channel 50. And they changed, I forget what the channel was, but they changed channels to a different channel. And in Traverse City, they put a new translator on at the studio. So that's where I was saying, if you don't get NBC or ABC here in the Traverse City area, do a rescan, you might. Because they're on now from the studio. There's also a translator for the CBS and Fox, which are together. And let's see, PBS moved channels over in Kalkaska. They went a little bit lower in channel and up higher in power, so you might get those as well. So definitely do a rescan. It goes in sections of the country, different times, because when they did the digital transition, they did the whole country all at once. And that put a burden on tower climbers and TV stations and transmitter manufacturers and all this hardware that they had to do to get that to all happen. So everything got a little crazy. So this time when they decided they were going to repack, let me explain what repack means. What they're doing is T-Mobile, and I forget what other carrier, bought all the frequencies above channel 35, actually 36 and above, of the TV channels, which I forget what the frequencies are, but basically T-Mobile bought the right to use those. So they had to move all the TV stations to channels below channel 36. So, like I said, in Harrietta, they were on 50. On the CBS in town here was on 40. There was a few of them, scattered about that were on the higher channels that had to move to the lower channels. And of course, the government paid these TV stations to do that. So they if not made money, they at least broke even on it, or should have. So, but that's what the repack's all about. It's so that T-Mobile can get better frequencies. Whatever, it's good, but that causes a little dilemma for those of us that watch over-the-air TV if you didn't know it was coming. Of course, if you were actually paying any attention, the TV stations all run crawlers for a couple weeks before. Hey, on this date, you're going to have to rescan. On this date, you're going to have to rescan. And that's what it's all about. But, around here locally now, I get all the channels that are available over the air pretty solidly. Due to the 2 translators in town, one for CBS and Fox, one for NBC, ABC, and some sub-channels. I think we have Me TV and Ion TV and CW. I forget. There's a bunch of them, but they're all on sub-channels of at least those 2. And then the Bump and Power out in Kalkaska from the PBS station. And they have 3 channels as well. They got regular PBS, PBS Kids, and Create Network. So we get a fair number of channels over the air here. And they're all coming in crystal clear with a little bit of interference right now going on with the one transmitter, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so if you're in the Traverse City area or anywhere in the Midwest, I think Ohio and Indiana and a few other places, Midwest was this round. And then going forth, different areas of the country are doing the transition at different times. I think the entire transition is going to be done first part of 2020. So if you're planning on using an antenna, rescan periodically. And that's the other thing. Just rescan periodically because there may be new channels coming on. or there may be new sub-channels that the different TV stations have added. You might get more channels. TVs aren't smart enough generally to rescan themselves or know that something exists when it wasn't told that it exists. So kind of a weird thing. And, and as far as the actual RF channel versus the channel you see on your screen, those might not change. Like channel 7 here in Traverse City is the NBC transmitter. And no matter what channel I'm actually watching, I see channel 7.1, .2, so on. And those are, I think they're called precips or PSIPs or something. It's just some weird data thing so that they didn't have to rebrand. Like channel 7 and 4 is still channel 7 and 4. No matter what RF frequency you're actually receiving it on, it still says 7 and 4. I do have an old TV, one of the first digital TVs, a Sony, and it's a really good TV, but the receiver isn't smart enough to follow the precip data. So on that TV, I see channel 35 for the Castblaster transmitter for NBC, and I see channel 7 for the local one, and I see, some of the oddball channels, 45 for one of the CBSs, and that's before they switched. I think they're on channel 20 now or 21. I don't know. That's all real confusing, but suffice it to say, rescan. Anyway, totally unrelated to podcasting and podcast posting month over at napodpomo.com. Or .org, sorry, napodpomo.org. Check it out. Of course, you probably heard my little pre-roll ad here with my country music at the beginning of this. Those will disappear at the end of the month, but I want to promote that. So go check that out. Check out all the shows that are participating. They're generally all short shows like this, under 15 minutes, I'm guessing, depending. There's some that might be longer. I don't know. I haven't checked them all out yet. My friend Dave is doing one, Building a Better Dave. So he's on there, and he tells a lot of interesting stories, personal stuff. Me, I just talk about whatever. So today it was TV Repack. So anyway, everybody have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow.